This is my garden update number 3. I planted like crazy today and did a lot of work. Yesterday evening, my son and I planted cantaloupes up along the fence, and those are going to grow and actually vine into the fence and probably hang off of this fence. So that should be pretty good. It'll keep it from crawling to the south. I've got some zucchinis, 4 different kinds, all dark green and middle green color, no yellows. And I started them at the end of the rows here with some cheaper packs. And then I've got, in between my corn rows, I've got zucchinis, 3 rows worth. I've got 1 row that's still vacant, and I'm waiting for some honeydew melons that are coming. They're going to be flip-flopped from the cantaloupes. So over here, I made myself a little trellis. I drove in a couple of leftover fence posts I had, and used some tomato cages, and ran some baling wire across. And that's because I've got several types of beans in here. So the first row of beans is limas, and they're bush beans, so they don't require a trellis. But on the other side of the corn and left of the trellis is Kentucky Wonder beans, and they're going to climb up this trellis and grow. And then on the opposite side, I've got some peas. They're called Green Arrow peas, and they're going to climb up the trellis also. And I hope it's not too crowded. I think they could coexist. We'll find out. I'm not going to thin these things. I'm going to let them go berserk. So maybe one will drown the other one out. Maybe they'll coexist. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm sure I'll get something from each one. So then on this side, then I started putting in my leafy stuff. And I've got some endive here for about a half a row because it's only 100 seeds. And they're small leaves compared to the other ones. And then I've got collard greens in there. Those get really big, 36-inch tall, so they get really big. And then I've got Savannah hybrid mustard, and those are going to take up some real estate too. The thing that's cool about them though is they grow in 20 days and then they're full grown. They grow very fast. So we can either cut the tops off and let them keep growing, or pull them and start growing some other things in there. And here I've got 2 types of carrots. I've got a typical orange carrot that's pretty big. It's called a Scarlet Nantes. And then I've also got red carrots and atomic reds. Never had them before, so that'll be interesting. I wonder if they taste any good or not. And then what I did is I got 1 row, and it's got 6 pepper packets in it. And the reason I did it that way is because there's only 20 pepper seeds per packet. And the thing is, on paper, it appears like you can grow a 20-foot row with each packet, but in reality the seeds are so small and fragile that you're hoping to get, you know, a third or 50% even of the seeds to grow into actual plants. And I'm more than happy to thin them out. But the kinds of peppers I got in this 1 row, I'm waiting on 6 more types of peppers, so there'll be 1 more row, and then I'm going to finish off this garden with tomatoes. I've got 3 types of tomatoes still coming in the mail. So the kind of peppers I'm growing are typical bell peppers in the front. They're called California Wonders. And then I've got, let's see here, Endive Romanian peppers. I've got pretty and sweet ones that are like banana peppers of multiple colors. And then I've got Corno de Toros, which are like an Anaheim chili, but they're a little bit hotter. They're 3,000 on the heat meter. I got Anaheim chilies that are 2,500 on the heat meter, so a little bit milder than the Corno de Toros. And then I've got jalapenos in there. So that row goes from mild to fairly hot at the end. You know, jalapenos are rated at 10,000 on the heat meter. But then the next sets of peppers, I'm going to have to space them out more because they're going to be screamers. I've got pepper Fresnos that are coming that are 10,000, like a jalapeno. Then I've got pepper caballeros, which are 30,000, so it's like 3 times hotter than a jalapeno. And then I've got cayennes that are 50,000, or 5 times hotter than a jalapeno. And then my wife didn't want to let me get these, but I did it anyway. I've got some habaneros and they're 350,000 or 35 times hotter than a jalapeno. Of course, you're not gonna eat that with your burrito. You're gonna chop that up and mix it up in some sauce or something. So I want to make some good hot sauce with some habaneros. So she got a sweet habanero that's coming, and it's a deceiving pepper because it looks like a habanero, but it's actually a sweet pepper. So we're probably going to grow that in a pot. She wants to keep that away from my stuff so it doesn't cross-pollinate. If you don't know, you can actually get some mild peppers to become screaming hot if you grow them with other peppers, as we found out before, because I grew habaneros and Anaheim chilies together, and the Anaheim chilies came out screaming hot, and they were good. So what I'm going to do after I plant my tomato seeds, depending on how many plants we get out of this and how many peppers we get out of this, I've still got a little bit of real estate at the back of this where I can get live plants from Home Depot or wherever and put them in, and get them going, assuming my seeds don't grow well or whatever. But I think I'll get some plants out of these. I've done them before. I've grown peppers and tomatoes from seeds and it worked. So if I get 10% out of each pack, I might get 2 really strong plants out of each pack of seeds, and that would be like a dozen pepper plants in this row, and then probably another dozen in the next row. And then the tomatoes that she's got on order are called Baxter's Bush Cherry Tomatoes, Tomato Heatwave 2, and Tomato Brandywines. So one is a beefsteak tomato, big one, and one is more like an Italian oblong shaped tomato. Pretty good for sauces and stuff. Make some spaghetti sauce out of it. And I'm going to put some more wire on this trellis. But for the most part, this wave of garden is done. Just hope that they all grow. Pray for a blessing on this garden. After this matures around May, we're going to start over and we're going to grow an early summer garden and do it all again. And then at the end, probably around July 4th, we're going to plant nothing but watermelon, corn, and pumpkins. And I've got a gob of pumpkin seeds in there, different kinds. I've got pie type pumpkins. I've got monster pumpkins that grow like 35 pounds each. And we're going to have some cool jack-o'-lanterns. Probably have our family, young ones over to play in the pumpkin patch. And if I get really excited, I might make a video of the great pumpkin rising out of the pumpkin patch. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but I'm sure it'll be magical. All right, well, that's my garden update number 3.